my mother, she was a huge wrestling fan. So I got to watching wrestling through her. And she passed away when I was 13, but I remember the time she would just have absolute happiness when the good guy would win. And oh, she'd be so mad when the bad guys won or went over or got the upper hand. So
who was the favorites? Who was the favorites?
Oh, this is not saying how old I am, but I'm old as water. But some of her favorites were George Becker. And he was old then. This was the old, what they call Charlotte territory. The TV came out of Asheville, North Carolina, Channel 13. I still remember the call signs, WLOS, Channel 13 out of Asheville, North Carolina, came on 11 o'clock at night in black and white, of course. And what the Carolina territory, they serviced Greenville, South Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina, and Richmond, and Columbia, Charleston. But the cutoff line between the Carolina territory and Georgia was a state line. And I used to think, well, wait a minute, who divvied these territories up? Well, when they would go to the NWA meeting in St. Louis every year, that was worked out. And all of the guys say, well, let me take it to here, and then I won't come over there, and you don't come over here. And I guess that's the way they worked it out. But she would watch Becker, and the Briscoes were there. I think Jack Briscoe and Jerry Briscoe and Abe Jacobs. He was an old timer. Then Swede Hansen and Rip Hawk. I still remember all those guys, and the Bolos. And the Bolos actually later on became the Assassins. And one of the Assassins became my mentor, Tom Ernesto. And I learned so much from riding with that guy because he kind of picked me out of the younger guys to drive him because I was a designated driver. And I would ride up and down the road, and he was a great talker. And he actually taught me more about the business just riding up and down the road than I learned actually in the ring. Because he taught me how to use psychology. Don't do this, don't do that, slow down, speed up, a little more personality. And that's how you learn. It's actually when you learn something, it's like you go to school for it. And I was going to school for it and getting paid for it. What's it called? On-the-job training. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what I was doing. But I was having a great time up and down the highway. And, it gets hot in the summertime. Oh, my God. And you'd go in some of those buildings in Georgia, open air. It's like 105 or at least 100 at 8 o'clock at night. And sweat would just not be pouring off the wrestlers. It'd be pouring off the fans too. But did they leave? No, they didn't leave. They would just pack. And, you get a lot of people in the building, it makes it hotter. I don't know how some people took it because I would go in the ring 15 minutes. I had to lose on some of those nights that I say I went 30 minutes. I'd have to lose 3 or 4 pounds because the humidity was that strong. But anyway, I digress. So I got off the point.
Were your favourites the same as your mother's then? Sort of, when you're 10, 11, 12, that age?
Say what now?
Were your favourite wrestlers the same as your mother's then, more or less?
Oh, yeah. Because I never tried to cheer for the bad guy because she'd slap the hell out of me. Whack! So,
I bet you had did you have like a secret bad guy that you secretly liked but wouldn't like outwardly show it, or?
Well, I did like the Bolos. And their secret was, and same as with the Assassins. Now, this is a long time ago, and nobody remembers them, I'm sure. Maybe a few. But hell, you got to be 80 to remember them now. But they're still on YouTube. But these guys would do interviews where they wouldn't scream and yell or raise their voice, actually, which made them, to me, more deadly. because they spoke matter-of-factly and they spoke well. They didn't stumble over the words, and they got the point across. What's that word? Subtly, S-U-B, but they definitely delivered a message. So sitting there, I said, damn, these guys mean business, because you have a lot of them come out there holler and scream, and, the interview was good. I mean, you have to have different type of interviews, but the two masked guys, the Bolos, who later became the Assassins, were actually my favorite bad guys, and were great in the ring. Jody Hamilton was one of them, and I'm sure a lot of people still remember Jody, but he weighed 300 pounds and could do a head scissors if somebody could hold him. But he just sits up there a second and takes you over. I mean, one of the best athletes I've ever seen in wrestling for his size. And he ended up working with WCW out of Atlanta, ran a school for a while. He had a son, Nick Patrick, I think, that was a referee. And I learned a lot from him too. He had a habit. I only worked with him a couple of times. Here's a story. I would go in the ring and he'd say, "Headlock, kid." I said, "Damn, he's going to let me take a headlock." So I'd take a headlock. I was proud of myself. Take me over. Yeah. Damn, he's going to let me. I take him over. I'm laying there. Next thing I know, a hand goes up my back. You know how hairy I am? And he just dug into that hair and just ripped it out. My God, I just couldn't turn him loose. And then he'd go to the front where all that hair is, and he did, oh, brother. I wanted to scream. I mean, I don't know. It's not even like somebody pulling the hair out of your head. This is out of your skin. Oh my God, it hurt like hell. So, but I got him back. I knew I had to wrestle him one night. So I went down to the drugstore and I bought me a bottle of Nair. You know what Nair is, right? Mm-hmm. And I took it all off. And he got in the ring, and I could see him over there going, he didn't notice. And then when I took him over, his hand went up, like no hair. I said, gotcha. And then he just beat the shit out of me.
I was going to say, pull your leg off instead.
Oh, yeah. But he was a good guy. Tom Ernesto was my mentor, and I still appreciate everything that Tom taught me. He's passed away now. Sad day when he left. It's like losing not a dad, but an uncle, and a close uncle. So, Tom, I hope you found what you were looking for, because you were always good to me.